Since November 2019, Australian government has made some changes to the regional area study. Obviously, one of the biggest changes they made regarding the definition of regional Australia. So in this video, we're going to talk about whether you should study in regional Australia or not. So without further wasting any time, let's get started. And at the end of the video, I will also give you my personal opinion whether if I have to study in 2020 in regional Australia, will I do that or not? Now the first thing first, let's understand the definition of regional Australia. So as per Department of Home Affairs, all of Australia except Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane will be considered as regional Australia from November 2019. So even cities like Perth, Adelaide and Gold Coast are now considered as a regional area. And apart from that, Department of Home Affairs have actually divided the whole Australia into three main categories. First, the major cities, which include Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, which obviously are not considered as regional areas. The second is cities and other major regional centres, which include cities like Perth, Adelaide, Gold Coast, Geelong and so on. And last category is about other regional centres, which includes places like Bendigo, Ballarat and so on. So to make things easier for you, we'll talk about first of all the pros of studying in regional Australia, and then we'll talk about the cons of studying in regional Australia. So let's look at the positive side first. What are the benefits of studying in regional area? Now one of the biggest benefit or the first benefit is about extra migration points. So if you are just studying in regional area, that will give you 5 extra points, which can be great when you're applying for your permanent residency. As you probably know that every single point counts when you're applying for your permanent residency. The second one is exclusive scholarship. Now Australian government has announced a special scholarship known as Destination Australia, which will award up to $15,000 for people studying in regional Australia. So $15,000 is a fair bit of money. So if you are planning to study in Australia and if you can further study in a regional Australia, you can get up to $15,000 from your study sponsored by Australian government, which is another great news. Now be mindful that there are only 1,000 spots for this scholarship and it will be equally split between domestic and international students. And this scholarship does not only apply to the university courses, it applies to some vocational courses as well, which can be ranging anywhere from Certificate 4 and upwards. Now another benefit of studying in regional Australia is that you will get additional year of post-study work visa. Regardless of any city you are studying in, you are usually eligible to apply for post-study work visa after your bachelor or master's degree. But if you are studying in regional centers other than those major cities, then you can be eligible to apply for 2 years of post-study work visa. That's additional benefit of studying in a regional Australia. The next thing is the cost of living. So the cost of living is much lower compared to the major regional cities. Now I do understand that there are some cities like Perth and Gold Coast will still be quite expensive place to live in, but there are some cities like Adelaide or Hobart which are much cheaper when it comes to cost of living. As an example, one bedroom apartment in Sydney can cost you anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000 per month. In Adelaide, the same one bedroom apartment can cost you $1,300. So it's pretty much half the cost of living in a major city. Now another benefit is the smaller class sizes. Obviously there are not many people living in regional Australia as compared to the big cities. So the class sizes are usually much smaller than the classes in the city areas. So you do get a personalized sort of education and you can easily build a relationship with your lecturers, tutors and people studying in your class. And the next one is relaxed lifestyle. Now the lifestyle in regional Australia is much more relaxed than one in the city. So if you are studying in regional Australia, you will experience that the life pace is a bit slow, and it obviously is great if you would like to move slowly and not rushed and always in a hurry. That's not sort of atmosphere you will see in regional Australia. Everyone takes a laid-back approach and usually the workplaces are also much more relaxed. The next benefit is more Australian culture. Now if you really want to see a true blue Australian culture, we highly recommend you to study in regional Australia. Why? Because there are still plenty of local Australians you can hang around with when you are studying there. Although there are local Australians in city areas as well, but when it comes to regional town, you will see much more and plenty of them. as obviously there are less number of migrants usually living in regional Australia. So if you're really after a true blue Aussie experience, highly recommend you to study in regional Australia. And the last but not the least is community feeling. Now what happens in regional Australia is there are less number of people living in those cities or towns. So you're more likely to know most of the people living around with you, working around with you, or studying with you. So building a relationship and settling into those regional towns can be much easier than the cities. So these were some of the benefits of studying in regional Australia. So now we're gonna look at some of the disadvantages or cons of studying in regional Australia. The number one reason why many students don't study in regional Australia is less number of jobs. So if you compare with the bigger cities like Melbourne, Sydney or Brisbane, there are less number of jobs available in regional Australia. And as we told you that the community aspect is really strong in those areas, finding a job can be a bit challenging as they always prefer to give the work to the locals first. So that is one of the biggest cons of studying in regional Australia. So the number two con is lack of facilities. So if we are specifically talking about university facilities, they are obviously less fancy than the one in the cities. So if you study in regional Australia, you will see the difference between infrastructure provided by university in there and infrastructure provided in the city university, which includes the building itself, which includes facilities like gyms, computer labs, and all these things. Number three is lack of public transport. Now most of the major cities like Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, Gold Coast, Adelaide will have a good connectivity with the public transport, but other regional areas, there's a bit of doubt about that. Most of the people travel using the buses in the regional areas, and with those buses as well, there are very limited timetables available. So you can only travel at certain time frames, and that's why most of the people living in regional Australia will have to buy a car. And last but not the least, the entertainment. So whether it comes to shopping centers, local cafes, restaurants or other activities, there are less number of these things available in regional areas. Lots of times local residents in regional areas also prefer to the city areas to entertain and enjoy these things. I'm not saying that there is no entertainment or shopping centers available in the regional areas, but they are limited in numbers and they usually close down much earlier than the one in the city areas. These were some of the cons of studying in regional Australia. Now before I tell you whether I will study in regional area or not, I would like to discuss the top 10 cities you can study in regional Australia. So we went and did some research based on the cost of living, the transport facilities available, entertainment facilities, universities and everything. And we found there are top 10 cities that you can consider to study in regional Australia. So I'm going to just give you the list of these top 10 cities. Number 1 is Perth. Number 2 is Gold Coast. Number 3 is Adelaide. Number 4 is the Australian capital city Canberra. Number 5 is Hobart. Number 6 is Wollongong. Number 7 is Newcastle. Number 8 is Darwin. Number 9 is Cairns. And number 10 is Geelong. Now I suggest you to consider few factors before choosing to study in regional Australia. So what are these factors? The first one is your career goals. What would you like to achieve? What's the purpose of studying in regional Australia and how it will benefit your career? Number 2 is your financial situation. Can you afford to study in regional Australia? And if you don't get a work, can you survive studying in regional Australia without getting a job there? At least for a while. Your preferred course. Whether the course that you're planning to study is available in regional Australia. Obviously, if it's not, then you'll have to study in the city areas. The reputation of the university or the institute you're planning to study. Look at the employability factor of the university and look at the reviews given by other people. Cost of living is another factor you should consider. And last but not the least is the job opportunities available in that regional town or area. Obviously, finding a part-time job can be a bit challenging. So it's a good idea to research whether you can find a job, a part-time job in regional Australia or not. And now, last but not the least is my personal opinion, whether I will study in regional Australia or not. So I would say yes, I will definitely consider studying in regional Australia. And why would I choose to study in regional Australia? Because there are too many advantages of studying in regional Australia in 2020 and beyond. And if I was a student, I would definitely consider to study there, as long as my course that I would like to study is available and if there are few part-time job opportunities available. Well, I hope you find some value in this video where we discuss about whether you should study in regional Australia or not. If you do, make sure to smash that like button and let us know in the comment section below what are your thoughts about studying in regional Australia. Are you planning to study in regional Australia? I look forward to your comments in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.